Hello, everyone, and thank you for tuning into this week's episode from Dreams to Realty Success, where we share inspiring stories of the top producers in the real estate industry today. Today we have Steve Schnur. Steve has been a realtor at Compass Realty, and he's been licensed for 19 years. He's known for his skills in helping buyers, sellers, and investors. Thanks, Steve, for coming on in today. I really do appreciate your time. As we were saying before we recorded, I know your guys' schedules are just insane right now with the
Yeah.
market today. So it
Thank
means
you
a
so
lot. Thank you
much,
so
Mike, for
much.
having me. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you. So I do have another segment right now that I like to get through. It's called A Letter from Baxty. So for those of you that don't know, Baxty is my mother, and she's also the owner of City Home Inspectors. She's been licensed for over 21 years, and so she kind of really studies the market and everybody in it. And this is what she had to say about Steve. Steve is a true professional, very, very organized, well spoken, and thorough in his work. He seeks to negotiate the best terms possible for his clients, and I can tell this through the involvement in every inspection we have performed for him. What I gather the most about his relationship with his clients is that they trust him, and that, in my opinion, is the highest compliment and best reputation for a realtor can ask for. So yeah, so that's what Baxty had to say about
Wonderful.
you. Okay, so I kind of just want to let's just dive right into it and let's get it going. Kind of want to know, what were you doing 19 years ago? What were you doing before you got into real
Well,
estate?
before real estate, I've always been in other types of investments. I started out of college and was trading on the floor at the Chicago Mercantile Exchange. And then from there, went to work for an investment bank and eventually helped found a hedge fund, but kind of all similar investment types. And that's kind of how things first started out, and then just even through my regular investment career on the personal side, I started to just get involved in the real estate market. A lot of my customers in investments were mortgage brokers, banks, and a lot of the institutions that are on the other side of real estate, and just got interested in a lot about the finances and just how those things worked. And, started to
Hmm.
buy a couple of small buildings and condos for myself, and just got more and more interested about that whole decision process, both analytically on the money side, but also just how you're going to use it, what's it going to be like. And um, I definitely was really hooked by the whole process.
Gotcha. So then, you said that you were in investments. Was it like stock investments, or what kind of
Um,
investments were
it
you
was it was
working with
what they
in the
call
past?
futures and options. So kind of
Hmm.
derivatives investments that are usually used to hedge kind of risks that companies have, mostly companies, because they're all kind of large amounts of money. So things like a bank will be lending out a certain amount of money, and they'll have a certain amount of deposits. And if those things don't match, they have a lot of risk on one side of paying out a certain interest, but maybe they're not earning interest on the other side. And so they'll often use these instruments to what they call hedge, and kind of decrease the risks that they have and make sure that they're not going to go out of business in any environment.
Gotcha. Okay. No, that's interesting. So, and then what was the attraction to go from that to more just property only? Because you're not doing any other investment work besides real
Right,
estate now,
right.
correct?
Now I'm 100% real estate, and just got a little bit involved with, when I saw kind of the back end of what these banks and mortgage banks were worried about as far as interest rates changing and various other things that affected their business. I just got involved also in kind of looking at their portfolios and how mortgages react and what they're like and how property values changed, and just kind of all the moving parts that go into the real estate business. So kind of got in on almost the opposite end, but then, kind of went full circle, just wanted to round out the knowledge of that. And then through my own personal purchases, kind of, figured out the hard way somewhat of like how a lot of the other portions worked. And, one of the things I always thought was, I had a good realtor, but I still kind of felt like, um, you know, I always wish that I kind of had more knowledge on the other things I didn't know, because the analytics are one thing, but there's also more to it on the other side, where people have their own needs and wants, and they're going to be living there or renting it out if it's an investment property. And those things, of course, play a huge part in any investment as well, not just the pure money part of it, but you want both of those things to work.
Interesting. Awesome. Okay, cool. So then I was kind of looking at into your background a little bit, and it says that you're originally from New York.
Yeah, I was born in New York, and then also spent a lot of time growing up in Florida, and then kind of
Hmm.
came to Chicago for college, and I have been here ever since. So, uh, kind of got me hooked,
Gotcha.
winters and
Gotcha.
all, and I'm still
Uh huh.
here. And uh, definitely one of the best things about real estate too is it allows me to kind of get acquainted with so many parts of the city that maybe I literally knew nothing about even after being here for 20 years. Um, and I find
Yeah.
that really interesting because there's a lot of really great things about almost every neighborhood.
Hmm. Okay, and then so basically your entire professional career you've been here in
Yes,
Illinois
yes.
with. Okay. Okay. So and then any thoughts of probably getting a license out in Florida or New York,
Um,
or are you just
it's
strictly
quite
Chicago?
possible. Certainly, if my wife has anything to say about it, she'd certainly like to spend the winters elsewhere. And
Yeah.
I think that's definitely something we're starting to look into, expanding the business. Plus, my real estate partner, who was always in Chicago for so many years, she now lives out in the Bay Area in California. So, in some sense, our team
Oh wow.
already is licensed in both cities, and definitely looking at kind of expanding that as time goes by.
Okay. So is there a Steve team where you have a couple agents under you? You all work
Um,
together, or?
Basically, we do have a couple of junior agents, but really, the team is kind of Steve and Lisa team, we call it. And
Hmm.
yeah, that's been going since day one in real estate. I've been had the kind of the same real estate partner, and she's also been a big mentor to me as well.
Awesome. Yeah, that's great. And yeah, whenever you find somebody that you just click with, you got to stick with them,
Absolutely.
So, but you do take on mentorship and everything like that. So if a new agent was looking to work with you and learn the ropes,
Definitely,
it would be
definitely.
if they fit.
One
Yeah.
of the best parts of
Hmm.
this career in general is working with people, both professionally, as colleagues, and also as clients. That you really get a lot of
Hmm.
satisfaction from, knowing that you're performing a vital service, basically, and
Sure.
helping people do that, and helping others kind of find their way in the business is a big part of it too.
Hmm. Yeah. So, when you're trying to take on a partner or a mentor, what are some of the qualities that you kind of require for you to accept them, or because I know it takes a lot of time, it's a lot of effort to help train somebody, and a lot of your time as well. So, like, has there ever been a time where what, I don't think that me and you will be able to work together, or this is
Um,
what I'm looking for if I'm
well,
going
I
to take
think
on a mentor?
there definitely have been those times, although you know, somewhat because everyone's running their own independent business, even within a team, that, unlike a different job where you're kind of like, oh, you're not pulling your weight, you have to go somewhere else. It's much more kind of subtle than that. And kind of it just becomes clear, when you're not on the same page as somebody over a long period of time, that they're not really looking to do what the team needs and they'd rather do something else, and they're going to look for their own opportunities, whether that be in real estate or elsewhere. I've had previous colleagues. One went into kind of coaching, both real estate and like general business coaching, and things like, just because that's just where he felt he belonged. But it wasn't really that we didn't get along or, things didn't work. But, overall, real estate can take you a lot of different places with a lot of different specialties, but also even just various roles, whether it be management or teaching or various other things.
Gotcha. Oh, interesting. Okay. All right. And then I kind of want to go into like your first years of real estate
Sure.
now. Were there any like major, like, I don't want to say major, but any failures or any like accounts that you kind of just dropped the ball on? You're like, man, but it was a valuable lesson to you?
Absolutely. I mean, in the end, that's what, any real sales business, I think, is all about. That, every client you have, you're trying to do your best for them, but you're also, every person is different, every person's needs, every person's expectations. And definitely, I can say that at various times, especially in the beginning, I really failed at that. But definitely also learned. And even just, with how I spent my time and who I spent it with, it, even in this business, there are times where you have to fire clients, where it's not even your shortfall. It's just that you just realize that it's just not a great fit. And that if, because in the end, if you can't make the other person happy, you can't fulfill your service and the need, then what are you doing? It's not really all about a paycheck. It's all about relationships. And that's what every client relationship needs to be. And you have to want to get there. And it definitely takes work and plenty of failures on the way.
For sure. Yeah. Yeah, for sure. So then, okay. So then what about one of your successes? What's a deal that you just knocked out of the park and was probably your, like, the one that always that you think about, like, man, that was the best deal I ever had?
Um, well, there are certainly times where, I had a client last year where basically they'd been rejected by 3 or 4 different lenders. They didn't think they could get financing. They didn't think certain things in their financial backgrounds made buying a home even possible, even though they really, really needed one. They needed expanded space, etc. And, I definitely was really happy that I worked with various lender partners that I have, kind of talked about a little bit about their situation, and just found them something that was a fit for them and made it possible. And in addition, we, also had to look at maybe 30 or 40 houses, which is way, way above what most people end up needing to do. But they just had specific limitations and specific needs. And it was just super rewarding to be able to get them to the finish line and get them into a new home.
Did that the account you're talking about, did it take longer than your expect? Because you said it was over
Yeah,
30 properties, so it was like a couple
right. And
months that
then
you
the
were working on that
financing
client then.
portion also, to get them all set on that, took a little while. So yeah, it probably took a good, 4 to 5 months from beginning to end.
Oh
And,
wow.
um, but it's just, it's so amazing to have things work out. And a lot of what a realtor does is, we're not just an island here. Basically, we're working with all the other pieces in real estate, and we're kind of in the middle of it. But we're no more or less essential than anything, but we're often kind of that connecting piece in the middle, where we're putting people in touch
Right.
with the right attorney, the right lender, the right inspector. And all of those things are so important in, doing a great job for people and having people really be satisfied with the final product.
Got it. Yeah, interesting. Okay. All right, thank you for that. Okay, so the next one I have is do you have any advice for any future realtors out there? Anybody thinking about getting in the game that might be watching this today?
Absolutely. I definitely say just it's something that you really have to take seriously. Um, it is a commission sales job, which is just not easy, not in any business. And you're going to have big ups, big downs. You have to plan quite well for the future. And also, just the biggest part, I think, of real estate success ends up being consistency. That you need to have whoever's in your database, whether it be the 20 people you know or 200 people you whose names you bought online, or there's a million different ways to kind of go about getting clients, but that whoever your contacts are, you just need to be consistent about creating a real relationship with those people so that they're going to think of you when it comes time, whenever that is. And sometimes for some people, that might be next month. For other people, that might be 5 years away. But, during that
It's true.
5 years,
Yeah.
if you're not like every couple, not just sticking them on some mailing list, but you're, making one personal call every 2 to 3 months and talking to them, seeing how it's going, answering a few questions, all of those things are necessary so that everybody probably knows at least half a dozen realtors between their entire network. So the question is, why are they going to use you? They're going to use you because you've been
Yeah,
there for them to, be of service, even when it wasn't about a transaction or making money.
definitely. Yeah, that's something too. Like I always kind of stress too because I've been in the real estate game my entire life, so I've seen it from from backseat and all the because all my friends on Facebook are all agents, so I see that and I noticed it with social media today is the consistency is totally key because if you stop posting, people think you gave
Right.
up. You know, people think that you moved on to they don't post anymore. They must be doing something else. So they must got another job. And the another thing too is the how trying to get back to what you were saying earlier. That client that you were worked with for 5 months. Like I see a lot of people like, oh, it must be nice being a realtor. They just show a couple of houses and they're always partying. It's like, look, man, that's what you see on social media because they're
Right.
not going to post the negatives. They're not going to post the hard times, the late nights, the client that you deal with for 5 months to six, like it's almost like half a year for a one client. Like this, it comes with a lot of driving and then gas right now.
Absolutely. It's crazy. My tiny
For
little
sure.
car, $60 yesterday. So
Oh man, I know. Yeah, that's why I was like, you know what? I think I'm just gonna podcast for the next couple of weeks. Just lock myself in the basement. I ain't going anywhere. you know. So okay, so that kind of brings me to my next one now. So what are like some of the things that you love most about being in the real estate game?
um, I guess the biggest thing to me about real estate that was quite different from my previous financial life was just the ability of really being able to work with individuals every day and develop these relationships. Some of my best friends in the whole world are all former current clients. And, I find that it's just a great way to really be there for people at a time where they're making the most important decision of their life. They're buying their most expensive item they'll ever buy. And, to be there and kind of go the
Yeah,
extra mile with information or to pick something up for them to make their life easier. Or there's 100 little things that you can do to, you know, really just be a part of people's lives that they'll remember and that you'll really feel good about.
okay, all right. And then so for my last one for the day, besides real estate, is there anything else you're passionate about?
Um, well, I'm definitely, one of the things I love living in Chicago. And one of some of the big reasons are, got great professional sports. I love watching and going to live professional sports, live music. Interesting food. I love trying all kinds of food that I've never even thought of before. And the great thing about Chicago is it's all kind of there if you look for it. So I'm definitely
Yeah.
passionate about that, and also travel as well when I do take time off. I also like to really visit other cultures. I've probably been to about 60 countries over the course of
Oh
my
wow.
life, and I just
Nice.
find it's incredibly interesting and always something to learn.
So you like to find the holes in the walls in the city
Absolutely.
and travel around the world. So any hidden gems in Chicago that you'd like us to know about? Maybe someplace we can all check
Um,
out.
well, I mean, some of the places may be more or less known to others, but there's like a really great young chef, and uh, works out, has a little restaurant in Hermosa, in that
Hmm.
neighborhood, and it's kind of like a hot dog stand, but also he's Cambodian. So he kind of puts his own spin on things and has a couple of really interesting dishes. And in addition, now they've kind of expanded to, that's kind of open at lunchtime, and then dinner time. He runs like kind of a private dinner, one table in his little place. And
Wow.
basically, you go there and you get like a huge multi-course gourmet meal. Bring your own booze, and it's fantastic, absolutely fantastic.
Okay. And then with your travel, is there like a place on the bucket list that you're just
Well, I
dying to get
think the
to?
next major place is Australia. I have not yet been there, and really looking forward to getting there. But it's a long way, but I've been plenty of places just as far. So
Yeah. Awesome. Yeah. I mean, what kind of how long is that flight?
probably about like 18 hours.
Oh man.
If you go straight, that is, which you
I
may not. You may end up
yeah
stopping in LA or
yeah
something. So
yeah. I've only like flown. I think the most I've flown was probably like 6 hours, 4 to 6 hours, and that was a pain. So I couldn't imagine 18 hours in a plane. Like, what do you do?
definitely try and sleep, hopefully, if
That's
you can.
crazy. Try and sleep. Well, you just got to party hard the night
Yes.
before, I guess.
I have been known to just stay up the whole night before so I can spend most of the plane ride sleeping. Trying to
Yeah,
change my
that makes
time
sense.
because it's
Yeah,
going to
get
be
ready.
totally different time there.
Oh yeah, I know. I went to Vegas earlier in the year, and then just the time you get back when you land, and that's it. You just
Right.
you're active from there on. But yeah, so yeah, that's all the questions I had for you today. If you want to take this time to kind of just let everybody know the best way to reach you if they wanted to hire your
Sure,
services in the future.
absolutely. My phone number, which I've basically always got with me, area code 312 560 4288, and email as well would work. It's Steve, Steve, dot Schnur, Schnur, at compass.com.
Awesome, awesome. Well, yeah, this is Dreams to Realty Success. Thank you, Steve, again for coming on in and speaking with us today. It's some great knowledge out there for everybody. Yeah, so thanks everyone for tuning on in. This is Steve.
Thanks
Thank you so
again.
much. Bye.
All
Don't
right.
leave yet.